Hello and welcome to NONI, Yanga's flagship talk show where we discuss the topics that you, our viewers at home, are talking about, but just a little bit louder. I'm Esther Alade, and today I'll be asking my guests, is suicide selfish? And if so, should we be allowed to say so? So who are my guests? Well, joining me today are founding CEO of Walk to Freedom Foundation, Mark Clark.
Hiya.
CEO and founder of Bear and Self-Development Counselor, Rita Benner.
Hi.
And film and video producer, Mo Musa. Welcome everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
We're going to be talking deep today, and I hope you're ready.
Ready.
Okay. Now, selfishness is defined as caring only about what you want or need without any thought for the need of others. So on the face of it, to describe the act of taking one's own life in order to escape the darkest depression seems to fit the criteria a selfish act. After all, the person who does it is able to end their pain and suffering, but for many left behind, their pain is just beginning. They will be left with feelings of guilt, anger, and confusion, and in case of some young children, it may adversely affect their mental health. However, to even suggest suicide is selfish is by many considered grossly unfair. They argue it shows a lack of understanding about mental health issues, and it's not just insensitive, it's also unhelpful as it stigmatizes both those who take their lives and the act itself. Also, as many people who attempt suicide say they believe the world will be better off without them, which is quite sad. Could we argue those who decide to take their lives voluntarily are actually incredibly thoughtful? It's a difficult and contentious topic with no easy answers, but I'm hoping my panel will be able to shed some light. Over to you. So Mo, I'm going to start with you.
Oh man!
You are at the end of the table, so I just thought I'll just start with you.
No
what
problem.
are your thoughts? Is it a selfish act?
I don't think it's a selfish act, but it's delicate. It's very delicate because obviously you're leaving people behind, and if you are the primary carer or somebody that is holds the household together, then you know it's inconsiderate. I wouldn't say it's selfish. It's just very, very hard because you don't know what some people are going through. And I find that people find it hard to talk. And you know, especially I would say men, and then to like marginalize that a little bit more, I would say black men. It's like very, very hard for people to talk these days. I'm very open. I can talk to anybody about anything that's going on in my life, but that's me isolated. Other people find it very hard, and there needs to be some kind of mechanisms that allows people to talk and air their thoughts so that they don't feel alone in their thinking.
I had a friend who unfortunately took his life at the beginning of this year through suicide. And my first thought was he sick? Did he feel like he was so ill he couldn't handle the pain? And then I found out that he'd been going through a lot, which he hadn't shared. And you know, I found that quite difficult. This was somebody who encouraged me, who talked to me, who was quite vibrant, quite colourful.
It's usually those people. It's usually those people, the most encouraging people are the people that are going through the most. You know?
Exactly.
What are your thoughts, Mark? Being a man, do you agree with Mo that it's difficult for men?
It is difficult for men, you know, because we're always put forward as the ones we know what we're doing, and we must be providing, or we must be doing something that shows that we've got it all together, and it's hard to do that, you know, and then speak to somebody about a problem, because people will always perceive you for what they get. So if they always see me being encouraging, they always, we own that label, and to actually say you have a problem and you're feeling this way, you don't want to lose that sort of stance there with people, and it's difficult.
Sorry to cut you. Do you know, I think.
But it's sorry, man. Let me just stop you. But is it okay to say it's selfish? Now, I'm going to come to you, Rita, because I know your personal story. You, if you don't mind sharing, you've attempted suicide 3 times.
Yes.
So in that frame of mind, what were you thinking?
I suppose you have to think about where I was coming from, what made me get to that point, because I had come into the country as someone whose parents had brought her to come and study. I'm the only girl of my parents, so to bring me here to study, and life was so tough, and the only way I could do it, my parents couldn't afford to take me through uni anymore. I had to pay my way through, and every time I called and there was a problem, it seemed I was becoming a burden on the family. And I'm sure that's not how my parents saw it, as being a burden. But then for me to not be able to escape the problems that I was going through, not having a forum to speak about how I was feeling, I had to be tough, I had to be strong. So suicide for me was an escape. And at the time,
to be selfish?
Exactly, I'm coming up to that. At the time, you're not really thinking right. So is your your mentality. You're not thinking right. You're not thinking, is it selfish? Is it not selfish? Exactly. And sometimes you are actually thinking, is a favor I'm doing to other people that I'm not here, like you rightly said in the beginning. So you're not being selfish. I don't find it as in that situation, you're not thinking as being selfish. You're not thinking about yourself. A lot of people I've spoken to when I've gone out and encouraged other people from what I had been through, a lot of people are never thinking of themselves. Is my mom is going through all these mental health issues. My mom has to take me to the hospital. It's too much pressure on my family. So if I'm not there, then nobody has to wake up at 2 a.m. to take me to A&E. Then it's a relief. So for me personally, having been through that and now speaking to other people who've been through it, the person going through never thinks it as selfish.
Okay, so for those that are left behind, so Professor Green, for example, didn't forgive his dad for 6 years after he took his own life. He felt that the act was very selfish.
Definitely.
Can you understand the pain and the frustration, the questions of those who are left behind? And why? You could have spoken to me, you could have come to me, you could have let me in on what was going on.
But then that is how, when the final death has happened, then everybody says, you could have come to me, you could have spoken to me. But then but then we also have to look at people. If somebody is constantly laughing, if somebody is constantly encouraging, nobody is void of trouble, nobody is void of problems. But there are people who never say anything, especially men. They'll go through so many things and never share how they're feeling. So if you're around people, it's good. You know, we're never created as an island. We have to be there for each other, if you understand me. So you have to learn to pick up on things, and that's what, because I have been through it, I've trained myself to pick up on people laughing when it's not really funny, you know, picking up.
So do you think people try to cover up that they're
definitely
happy?
Because they are seen as a strong person. So I'm in this position, I'm a mother, I can't be seen as breaking down. I'm the father, I'm the, like you said, Mo, I'm the breadwinner. So even when things are not happening for me, I have to be seen as, you know, I'm still pushing through. But sometimes the people you're feeding would like to know, how are you actually feeling? And then for those who are being looked after, you also have to take a step back to see, is this person okay? Is this person okay? You
okay,
know?
let me come to you, Mark. So in terms of putting your mental health first, you work with people who are going through drug addiction. You help them, rehabilitate them. So do you think it's selfish to put yourself first?
It's not, because if number one's all right, then everything else becomes all right. But what we have to understand, that when we're in that position, because I can relate to your situation similarly as well, because I was 20 years in addiction myself. So for me, there was an ongoing thing where I felt like everybody else feels, if I'm 6 foot under, then I'm not a problem, I'm not a burden to anybody. But what also happens in that state of mind is a thing in our denial happens, where we actually believe that's the answer, because in that state of denial, a lie becomes a truth and a truth becomes a lie. And we have distorted cognitive thinking. Okay, so it just all seems like this is the answer. But what also happens at that stage, in that stage of denial, is we're able to freeze our conscience and our emotions. So we won't think of anything else other than that moment now is the answer. And we believe it to be true. You know, and so we just carry out the act. you're right, we never ever think of anybody at that time because we do think we're doing them a favour, because that's what's going in our distorted thinking.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself first. You have to think of your rehabilitation first. You have to be selfish in that sense about it, because it is solely about you and your state of mind.
Mark,
Yeah.
a person has to acknowledge that first.
Yeah. If they're in that state, how can they?
That is the major part of it, because you can say mental health, this, that, and the other, but understanding to yourself, admitting to yourself, hold on, I'm going through stuff right now.
Yeah.
I am going through stuff, and it's not even about talking to anybody, it's first acknowledging it yourself.
Yeah, so as a service, okay, we help our clients understand what's behind their challenges.
Right.
So they begin to see that this is the point where I'm needing help.
I've got friends.
Yeah.
I don't see them picking up the phone to call any service. I've got friends that are that are in depressive states, and that's why you need friends and family and people that you can talk to, because literally it could be just somebody to speak to, or it could just be somebody to just not do anything with. Just be silent.
Just sit and
have a sandwich.
Exactly.
Well,
I think culturally though, what happens, especially in the black community,
I was just going to come to that.
we can't talk about how we feel. We don't talk about feelings. We don't, or even if you was to, you just get told, shut up and stop being stupid.
And also, I think religion doesn't help as well sometimes in terms of people taking their own life, etc. But okay, we've got so much to talk about, but we need to take a short break. And when we come back, I'll be asking my panel, should assisted suicide be legalised in the UK? See you after the break. Welcome back to NONI with me, Esther Alade, and my guests, Mark Clark, Rita Benna, and Mo Musa. So the question we were talking about before the break was, is suicide selfish? And if so, should we be allowed to say so? And I want to ask my panel, should assisted suicide be legalised in the UK? At the moment, it is a criminal offence to aid, abet or procure the suicide of another, with those convicted facing up to 14 years in prison. My panel, your thoughts?
Start with him first.
Do you know, through the whole break I was thinking, right, so, okay, I think that it's a difficult one because, especially for the person who's assisting.
Yes.
Because we don't know how this is going to carry over once it's done. Because it could change their whole state of mind and it could affect their mental health. Because even at that point, they feel literally coerced into helping the person. They latch onto their denial. Right? So now I'm not going to be thinking about what's going to happen possibly down the line for me.
Not thinking about yourself.
The consequences.
The consequences
of your action.
And to think about the person helping.
I
think that's insane anyway. I just think that's insane. There has to be, if I may talk, there has to be procedures, checks, and an understanding of why this person wants to do said thing. If the person's got like crazy debts, or has got kids, or has got this, you have to counsel the person and speak to them and make sure that the safeguards are in place.
But at the time that this person is going through this,
no, assisted suicide is different.
Let me clarify. So assisted suicide is helping somebody who might be sick or death. So let's take for example, that's a good question. Switzerland is illegal. And people are flying over to England to go over there and do that. But let's say, for example, give an example, a scenario, you have a cat or a dog who's going through a lot of pain, you take them to the pet, and the next thing is, they tell you,
you have to put them
down. You
put
put them down, don't you? So why can't we do that for beloved ones?
Especially with people, honestly, for example, I had a friend. And
seriously ill.
Very seriously ill, and they had to. There were suggestions of amputating her leg, amputating her arm, and blah 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 blah. And genuinely, she didn't want to be here because she's lived her whole life, 32 years or whatever it is, and now she's got to find another way to live. She couldn't even comprehend it.
In terms of going out with taking
in terms of amputating the leg, amputating the arm,
Different
it could be
way of
anything. It could be anything, but anything that severely affects the way you have lived your life. You know, asking a person just to be happy and jolly is a huge ask.
Yeah.
So you're saying diminished quality of life if it changes.
It depends on who you are. Like I know, for example, if like my eyes were gone, like and my fingers were gone, I would ask myself, what am I doing? I would need to find another way to live a fruitful life.
But isn't that life in general? If one way doesn't work out, do you not find another way to achieve that
You
goal?
find another way, but I really do believe if it's affected your life that much where you can't find a way, I wouldn't say do it straight away or whatever, but it's a case of going through a process.
Or would you assist?
With counsellors and people and staff and making sure your affairs are in order. Because if you don't want to be here no more, it's your choice.
Okay, but would you assist?
No, I would never assist. No, that's a professional's job. Doctors, consultants, and it's
So you think they assist anyway?
They do assist, but that's their job. That's what they signed up for.
Okay. What about you, Rita? What are your thoughts?
I'm on the fence really because first of all, I wouldn't assist.
Never.
I wouldn't assist. And I understand where Mark is coming from because you're so sympathetic with another person. You're feeling their pain and everything. But then the thought of it, what if they don't die and something good, they get healed of their sickness, or you never know, something could turn around. I had a friend whose mother thought she had cancer, and then they went through chemo and she died afterwards, only to realize that she didn't have the cancer in the end. And the children after years...
That's a misdiagnosis.
No, I'm making a point here. Yeah. I'm making a point here that, you know, it could be that misdiagnosed, but then she could have lived. It could be that this person, your assistant, could live out of whatever. Could be that it's so severe. Could be that you could change it, but then it falls back on you. How are you going to live your life thinking something could have happened? You know, then you move into mental health.
It's thoroughly unfair to ask a civilian to assist you.
To assist
but
someone.
then people do it. People take their loved ones to Switzerland.
Yeah, but that's...
And they help them to die naturally or to die.
It's the consultation
Do they feel
process.
okay totally after honestly think that I've done the right decision?
I think to take your loved one all the way to Switzerland and with the fear of knowing that you might be convicted of a criminal offence, you must feel pretty okay that you're doing the right thing.
Yes, you must do, because you're doing the right thing for the person you're assisting.
Crazy.
But how about yourself? And this is where we're coming. Are you being selfish? Are you being selfish because you're thinking about the person, but when you've come out of that situation, the person is gone. How do you, your mental state?
Let's talk about carers, because a lot of people are sometimes really ill. And you know, really to the end of their life, they can't, the capacity to move, to talk, to eat, and you're having to care 24 hours. Right. They're not the person you know them to be. So would you not want to, and not exactly. So would you not want to assist in that situation?
It's strange because all of this is kind of, and please forgive me, is making me think of when EastEnders covered this. Okay, and I think it was Dot and somebody else.
I don't know. I don't watch EastEnders anymore.
Many moons ago.
But they covered this kind of thing, and it was a situation basically where the doctors were saying, we're going to keep you alive. You know, we're just going to medicate you, keep you alive, but you're going to be better.
The law in England.
And they didn't want that.
Yeah.
Okay, and they just wanted to be assisted. I think it was Dot or one of them assisted them because they wanted to die, giving them the tablets and all the rest of it. And I can kind of get that to a certain degree. You yourself just don't want to be this way anymore. I've said to people, if anything would ever happen to me and I cannot be me, switch off the machine.
Yeah, no, honestly, I understand that, but I still will always maintain that it's a job for the
I get it.
professionals.
I get it.
And many
Yeah,
stages as well. It's not
I
something
get it.
quick.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But I feel.
I couldn't do it
No, you're
personally.
absolutely right.
It's not a job
You're
for any
absolutely
civilian,
right.
no family member, nothing. Even taking somebody to Switzerland, great.
So do you feel that the person who is ill is then ensuring that it's not a selfish act by including others?
No, okay, so I can only, if I'm speaking for
That's
myself,
good point.
if I speak to my brother, for example,
Yeah.
and I'm sick, I can't, he has to change my underwear, he has to bath me, I'm not cognitive at all.
Yeah.
And I will maybe a little bit cognitive to talk to him and explain to him, I don't want to be here no more. My brother, knowing that he loves me, like, will understand that. Whether he comes to Switzerland with me or not, he will understand that this is a choice that has been made and we've spoken about it, and they are able to prepare themselves to not see you the following week. Your affairs are in order, everything, you've prepared the mind. The thing about death and suicide is it's sudden. That's what mashes you
just
up.
mentioned suicide there. So
assisted suicide.
Okay, but let's talk about suicide, because suicide, we presume it to be a selfish act. So when we say assisted, is that making it less selfish because you're bringing
involved
others in to understand your
Everybody's
pain?
involved.
Yes.
There's so many people involved, and they can assess whether we're going to let you go, or actually no, you're just being a child. Stay in the world.
But who has the right to say that?
No, but listen, if for example, there is no valid reason why you want to be assisted to leave and you just want to just leave the earth, there has to be more questions need to be asked.
But I think your loved one would question you. If you would see and you would know the difference in your loved one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I feel that in the UK, illegal, I feel there's more assisted
going on
than we think.
No, that's obvious. And that's like every other crime in the world.
Yeah.
But when it's brought to the forefront, and is it going to be legal or not? Then, like I keep on saying, there just needs to be stages.
I totally agree with that. But I think the final decision, though, is down to the person themselves.
Yeah.
You only know you.
Okay, so
boils down to the fact that are we being selfish?
Forget illness. Forget illnesses. No, forget illnesses. As we're sitting here today, if I decide, actually, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore, and I speak to my whole family and blah blah blah.
I think
blah,
that's
blah.
a different.
It's not different. It's the same thing.
You would not.
Why can't a person just decide not to be here anymore after speaking with your family and everything?
Do you want to know why? Because that's not inherent within us.
Yes.
There has to be a process. There has to be, like you said, there has to be a why.
Yeah.
There has to be a why. Yeah. It's not within us.
And you've just put in a nutshell. Yeah. Stages, consulting.
Yeah.
Talking.
Well, you'd hope that anyone who was going through that would, in terms of, let's go back to suicide, would be able to consult with you and talk to you and let you know what they're going through.
Exactly. And when the person talks to you, and after the right consultations, the person may realize, actually, you know what? Maybe I am just being a bit OTT.
Yeah, so it's creating, allowing that. Yeah.
Talking.
But let's try and find this a little bit. So, assisted suicide. Would you help a loved one if you had a parent? Someone who couldn't move anymore, you were caring for them 24 hours, it was costing you a lot. Would you assist them?
I'm on the fence.
Because you said you would want to be assisted if your way of life was diminished, or
I think
if you
that's
could
an
move.
unfair question.
Not really. It's something to think about.
Yeah,
in my times of addiction, I mean, I attempted suicide many times.
You did?
Many times.
Okay.
I was clinically depressed. I had clinical suicidal depression. So every time I would take copious amount of drugs after that, I'd never expect to wake up. My whole thought process is, I was upset if I ever come out of having a massive hit of heroin. Okay, so for me, continually going through that process, there was an expectancy that I wanted to die, and I welcomed it. Yeah. But somebody else had other plans.
So you ain't going nowhere. Right? Stay there.
So I was assisting myself.
Yes.
I was assisting myself because my mind was made up, because
Well, the
there was
person
something that I,
selling to you is
yeah.
also, that's assisting you.
Yeah, he was assisting me, he just didn't know. But the thing is this though, sometimes what happens is though, when it comes to people's mental health, because even in addiction, that's an illness, that's a mental health illness, okay? What you've got to understand as well is at that point, you feel exhausted that there is no more help going to come from anyway.
Yes.
Why? Because nobody's given me an answer.
Yes.
Nobody's given me a way out. You know, even when you go through addiction services, as good as they are, you still don't come away with an answer.
Yeah.
So, but your life is still continuing doing this mad stuff. Everything that you morally would never do.
Yeah.
That was what was killing me. All the immoral stuff, the robbing, the stealing, the lying,
that's what I was talking
being
about.
7.5 stone, eating off of the streets.
Yeah.
I know you wouldn't think so now, but that's where it got me.
At the point, your mind just gets stuck.
You're feeling guilty. You know better, but you're doing these things.
I did not want to live another day on this planet like this.
Yeah. Well, thankful you're here.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
And I've got to meet you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
what an amazing turnaround. So and now you're helping others.
I'm helping others.
So there was a reason why all those attempts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've actually made me very tearful. We can talk.
For hours about this.
And talk. Thank you for being so open.
No problem.
For
Thank
sharing
you.
your story with us. Thank you all.
Yeah.
You've been fantastic. That's it. From me, Esther Alade, and my fantastic guests, Mark Clark, Rita Benna, and Mo Musa. Now, if you've been affected by any of the issues in this program, we recommend you call the Samaritans free at any time on this number, 116-123. Now, the number will not appear on your phone bill in case you're worried that somebody may know that you've called the Samaritans. But thank you for joining me, and don't forget, every episode of NONI, past and present, is online at yangatv.com. So wherever you are in the world, you can see the show and other great content from Yanga. Join us again soon for more insightful chats. Goodbye.